Project leadership comes in the spotlight as PLC Masterclass Bootcamp looks to address issues relating to Industry 4.0. Café Chamarel goes through a rebranding and at the same time foresees future plans such as a coffee museum. And Nigeria's Jumia becomes the first African startup to be listed on the New York Stock Exchange, opening the path for other African companies to follow. Project Leadership Certification Bootcamp coming in October this year will be hosted by the University of Technology of Mauritius and coordinated by Team Synthesis, an intensive Industry 4.0 masterclass which comes as an industry demand to think not only outside the box but without the box. In this edition, we get an insight of this bootcamp, celebrating its Golden Jubilee this year and run by the UTM for the past 13 years. So we are here with the officer in charge of the University of Technology of Mauritius, Mr. Kiran Marjan, and we're talking about Project Leadership Certification. And UTM has been running this public bootcamp successfully for the past 13 years with the support of local enterprises and also regional enterprises. And how do you explain this success?
This bootcamp that UTM is doing, first is that we are doing it in collaboration with a valued partner, Team Synthesis, and this is something that has been happening for the past 13 years. And the thing that we need to understand is that something works because it has the required or the expected output. And somebody that comes out of the PLC, the Project Leadership Certification of UTM, is someone who comes out as an overall winner. And when we're looking at this bootcamp, we're looking at not only the principles of project management as professed by the Project Management Institute, that is looking at 49 processes of project management, 5 process groups, 10 knowledge areas, but we're also looking at broader aspects that will make somebody a winner in the field. We're looking at strategic planning, we're looking at strategic management, we're looking at Industry 4.0, and we're making sure that whoever comes out of PLC is somebody who is someone that can hit the ground running in industry. That's, I think, the secret. The secret is hard work and dedication.
And how does this bootcamp go on?
This bootcamp has been going on for 13 years, like I said, and we have 4 sessions per year. And 4 sessions per year where we are inviting members, inviting participants from industry. There's a marketing strategy, there's a marketing campaign that goes on beforehand, and then the people are invited for a 5-day intensive training session, nearly on a residential, because usually it starts at 8 and finishes at around 2 or 3 in the morning. Very, very intensive. That's why you will see that at the end of it, we say that these people that graduate from PLC are the warriors, because they've been given some kind of a high quality, highly intensive training in project management.
Now, you call those people who graduate from the PLC warriors. You're also doing it with partnership with Team Synthesis. So what's the implication and engagement of Team Synthesis in PLC?
You would realize that the UTM has been and is very à l'écoute of industry, and we want to create an output that meets the demand of industry. And in this, UTM has been quite successful in having a partnership with Team Synthesis and working for 13 years, max of dedication and motivation and hard work. So very happy on this, and we have somebody who, Mr. Chipeng, who's been working with us, who is a high professional in the field of project management, and we've been benefiting a lot, as well as all participants in that project.
And now, what is the next step of PLC and leadership development?
You'd realize that society has changed over time, has transformed over the last 13 years. We started with an industry which was IT based or even construction based, and we are now into Industry 4.0. We are now into something which is completely different. And PLC is moving along and making sure it is always meeting the requirement of industry, which is in fact in line with what is our mandate at UTM, making sure that we meet the requirement of industry. In that sense, one of the next step that we will do at the level of PLC is to be equipping those participants in the different other fields. For example, we'll be looking at profiling, we'll be looking at 360 degrees strategies or 360 degrees feedback. We'll be looking at Industry 4.0, at PMIS 4.0, making sure that these people are now more equipped to face the new technological challenges in project management.
So Vima, for people who want to participate in this PLC bootcamp, where do they go to get all the information and how do they register?
We have a portal where you can get PLC information, find out from the mouths of past participants and register 24/7 anytime, anywhere on our website or our portal. It is an MQA approved and HRDC refundable course up to 70%. So UTM has kept this course fees the same since 2008 with the sole purpose of encouraging more leaders to attend this training. We are targeting top 1% of the adult working population, which is roughly 5,000.
So after completing this PLC, how does it benefit the participants professionally and personally?
Those who attend PLC can tell you that it is a life-changing experience. It is a perspective altering, enriching journey.
So Mayuri, who can participate in PLC and what are the prerequisites to join this course?
Well, there is no requirement per se. We have participants with 30 to 40 years working experience. Also those who have 2 to 3 years working experience. We also have fresh graduates from the university and those going to university who attended the course. We also have certified project managers who attended the course previously. We also do have people who attended the course who do not have any project management background or project management knowledge, the basic of project management. So we do not have any restriction as such to attend PLC. We believe that those who already are project managers or certified PMs, they should aim to ace PLC to obtain the highest certification category. Yes, PLC have different categories of certification, and for those who have limited experience, that is the university-going students, they should aim to learn the correct and right way to plan their tasks, to initiate projects, and to increase the chances of successful outcome in whatever they do, as, if I may say, life itself is a project.
A page is being turned in Africa's startup history. Nigeria-based e-commerce startup Jumia is going public on the New York Stock Exchange. The tech firm is considered to be Africa's first unicorn, a privately held startup valued at more than $1 billion. The impact of Jumia's debut on the NYSE will reverberate far beyond Wall Street, where the African e-commerce giant's listing is expected to raise more than $200 million. Funding for African startups hit record levels last year, reaching $725.6 million for 458 deals, according to a report by global tech media firm WeTracker. As China's massive car market suffers a sales slump for the first time in decades, state-owned automaker JAC Motors says it's looking to international markets to shore up sales. Global car markets flocked to the Shanghai Auto Show this week, with the world's largest vehicle market facing an unsimilar sales slump just as China veers towards an ultra-competitive electric future. Fueled by rising incomes and government sales incentives, China has been the golden goose upon which the global automotive industry has staked its future.
In Business Connect today, we are in Cas Noyal where Café Chamarel is produced. Café Chamarel has been cultivated in Mauritius for over 50 years now, and it is meant for the local and international markets. Following a recent rebranding, new products are available on the market now. Let's have a look. Michel Pilot, thank you very much for being with us. You're the CEO of Compagnie Sucrière de Bellon Limited, CSBO. Can you please give us a brief history on the history of coffee plantation in Mauritius and also the production of Café Chamarel?
I think if we want to have the full introduction, I mean, coffee plants were introduced in Mauritius back in 1721, 1722 by the Compagnie Française des Indes, when our island was actually started to be under French colony. There was a huge coffee plantation, especially in the region of Mocha, which actually derives its name from coffee. But then a few years later, coffee plantation encountered a disease which badly affected the plantation there. It was also at the time where there was the introduction of sugarcane in Mauritius, which became obviously and still is part of the main part of our landscape. For us in the Café de Chamarel, it was a bit the reverse that happened, because around 1961 there was low yields happening on the sugarcane in Chamarel, and the directors of CSBO at the time had the idea to actually try and put coffee back in Chamarel. And the adventure started there. We had our first harvest, and we first started commercializing Café de Chamarel under its current brand around 1968, which we are proud to say that our coffee is contemporary with our island and its independence.
You have been producing coffee for 51 years now.
Yes.
So why the need for a rebranding now?
Okay. I think there's a few answers to that question. The first one I would say is there is obviously a need to rejuvenate the brand, to actually make it more appealing and more sexy, if I may, for the consumers. We have seen and we've understood the market dynamics around coffee, which are changing. We are seeing more and more young people being familiar with coffee and being more and more coffee drinkers. To be able to appeal to this younger generation and to be able to relate to them, we thought that it was essential that we looked again at our packaging, which had lasted and had made its time. There's a second part of the equation as well. We also, through the studies we've been conducting, we understood that for us as a brand, Café de Chamarel, for us to be more responsive and to be more appealing to the population in general and to customers in general, we had to diversify our offering. And obviously, having that in mind, we decided that enlarging our offering was also the right time to do a rebranding and to refresh the image. So there was twofold: enlarging our offering first, and then also touching and appealing to a younger generation of coffee consumers, which would have been maybe a bit felt left behind with our old packaging.
Café Chamarel has been mainly for tourists, but we have seen over the past years that consumption of coffee in Mauritius has increased drastically. How has this impacted Café Chamarel?
Definitely, I think if you look at the import figures in Mauritius, we have seen a dramatic increase. If my mind is not faulting me, it's a 50%, 56% increase in coffee import from 2016 to 2017, and obviously that trend has kept on going. And the impact we have seen at our level for Café de Chamarel is also an increase in our sales. In our sales on the local market, which has increased by 26% over the same period, and we have kept on seeing increases over the past few years. I mean, last year again we had a 12% increase in our sale, which is encouraging for us and which shows us that there is definitely a growing coffee market. And for us, Café de Chamarel, it's an opportunity, but also it's a real milestone in all our coffee adventure, and it shows that our decision 50 years ago, 60 years ago was the right one and is paying off.
Michel, you have been producing coffee for the past 50 years. I have to ask you, what is so special about Café Chamarel, and what are the innovations that have been brought about over the past years?
Thanks for the question, I like it. You definitely know a quite famous site in Mauritius, which is Terre des Sept Couleurs. It's one of the most visited sites in Mauritius, and it's really a popular thing. But what is very interesting about this site is the geology that happens here, and which creates this color and obviously gives a particularity to the soil. We are lucky to have all our coffee plantation in Chamarel very close and actually in the same vicinity as Terre des Sept Couleurs site, which obviously helps the plant to actually derive all the nutrients from this particular soil, which obviously gives it, which is felt in the taste of the coffee itself. The second thing is we've kept the process very artisanal. Even not much has changed since the first days we started the coffee production. And one of the reasons for that is we think that this artisanal production is a warranty of quality. Obviously, you can't have a machine, not yet at our level, knowing when is the right time to pick the right berry. We have people who are passionate, just like us, and who have been working with us, and who know exactly when to pick the right berry and when not to. So this obviously gives us the opportunity to really have a quality check and a quality process that comforts us that we are bringing a quality coffee to the market. Now, you talked about investment. The only investment we have made, which is not to make the process more efficient, but rather to keep on increasing and keep on our path to quality research, which is a dehusking machine, which obviously separates the husk from the coffee of a berry from the coffee bean itself. And what this machine has enabled us to is actually to separate the high quality coffee beans from the middle quality coffee beans. So it has enabled us to really pick the cream of our coffee so that we could use them in our process, and obviously then again increasing the quality of our process and the quality of what we are sharing as an experience with customers.
The dehusking is part of the post-harvesting process.
Exactly.
But at the end of the day, what is the most important is where the coffee plants is grown. And from what you've said, it is a geographic advantage that it is in the vicinity of La Terre des Sept Couleurs.
Exactly.
Have studies been carried out on the land there?
Yes, definitely. Obviously, to understand the geology, and we are actually busy looking into a project where we would have a showcase of the geological history of the site to actually educate the people coming to a Terre des Sept Couleurs about geological process. And obviously we as coffee growers and people attached to the soil and the earth, we've conducted these studies, and we understood that there are some particularities, some organic nutrient present in our soil there in Chamarel, which are not present in other part of the island, which obviously are favorable to the coffee growth. Then we also have two other important aspects in Chamarel, is the altitude. We're around 300, we're ranging between 250 meters to 300 meters in altitude in Chamarel, which is also very important for the coffee plant. And then there's the third thing, which is protection from general wind. Our plantation is protected, being within the Chamarel Valley, is protected from general wind, and it is helping us to create favorable conditions to produce the best coffee of the island, the only and the best coffee of the island.
You make it sound like it's a magic coffee.
Yes, I think it is. I think it is. I think there is. I mean, the region, it's an enchanting region, and we'd like our coffee to be enchanting, and the experience of drinking our coffee to be enchanting as well.
Where is Café Chamarel going forward for the short and long term?
Well, I think there's a hint in the previous answers we gave. Obviously, we talked earlier about it being an attractive product for tourists, and obviously for us it's a kind of exportation of our knowledge of our product when we have friends visiting and people visiting Mauritius and bringing the coffee outside our shores to be tasted and shared with people outside our shores. So definitely we are looking at the export market for our coffee. We believe, and I just told you, it's an enchanting product. We believe that in the quality of the product we have, we believe that we have all the reasons to make our product better known outside our shores, especially to coffee lovers and specialty coffee drinkers. So we are lucky to already have been able to export small quantities of our coffee. With the response we've had from international partners has been very good. So we're definitely looking at digging more into these alleys of growth, and I think for us export is going to be the major game changer for us going forward. We are also looking at plans to have a coffee museum embedded in our coffee plantations in Chamarel. So that project is already well underway, and I think that if we have this conversation in 2 years' time, we'll probably be sitting up in the coffee plantation in Chamarel and enjoying a coffee shop, coffee museum experience.
Well, hopefully to another episode in 2 years. Well, Michel, thank you very much for your time. It has been a pleasure having you for this episode of Business Connect.
My pleasure.
We have now come to the end of this episode of Business Connect. Thank you very much for being with us. If you want to watch this episode again, you can catch it online on our website or on the various online platforms. Goodbye.